This video, we're going to be talking about the do's and don'ts and common mistakes of wire jewelry making. So let's get started. First up, start slow. Take your time with the project, really get to know the materials and the process of making jewelry making, because it's really going to help your end project be even more beautiful and more professional looking. Make sure that you're starting with a beginner project and you're not just zooming right along and working from a advanced project and then just going on and on and on. You're just gonna get frustrated. So start slow, really learn what you're doing, and then move on from there. Next up, practice. Practice, practice, practice. Practice your piece up to 3 times before you think you're ready to move on to working with materials like gold or silver. These materials are very, very expensive, so we wanna make sure we save those for the very last result when you get really comfortable with the piece. And it's going to be very professional looking if you take your time. Next up, don't get frustrated. These materials are brand new to you, and they were once brand new to me. It took me a long time to get comfortable with wire jewelry because it can be a little bit difficult to work with, especially when you're braiding a material or working with very, very tiny little jump rings and things like that. So just make sure that if you ever get frustrated, don't give up. Just take a break, maybe watch some TV for 30 minutes, and then come on back freshly prepared to get back into it, and don't give up. Use high-end materials. Maybe when you're starting out, of course, like I've mentioned before, don't start with some gold or silver, but when you're working with copper, make sure it's a high-quality copper and that it's coated really nicely, and also make sure you're not working with like cheap plastic jewelry pieces, like little beads or things like that. I always use real rocks and real gems and glass beads. It just makes a difference, and it makes your jewelry piece, no matter what skill level you are, look more professional. Next up, don't use any lighters or heat with your copper wire. Our copper wire is plastic coated. It's a nylon plastic coated base, and when you put that with heat, it's not going to be a good combination, so don't even go anywhere near with that. Next up, don't use wire from a hardware store. The lead content is really high in these materials. They may look great and they may even be cheap, but don't even go anywhere near it. Use your jewelry pieces from a jewelry supply store or website. Next up, our final tip, take your time cutting and measuring your pieces for your projects. You always want to cut 1 wire piece at a time. Don't cut any more than that. You might end up marring your wire and making things more difficult for you. So just take your time and cut 1 piece at a time. Well, that's all the do's and don'ts we have for this course. So I hope you had a lot of fun learning about little common jewelry mistakes. We all make them, so don't get frustrated, like I've mentioned a million times before. Our next class is all about how to finish your jewelry piece and make them even more professional looking. So stay tuned. Here's a few little tricks and tips on how to make your pieces even more professional and finished looking. First up,